Thank you for joining us for the May Michigan Co-op webinar. Today we have Link Learning staff with us. Link Learning is a program that blends brick and mortar and virtual schooling. They have approximately 2,000 students across the state in 16 different centers that they personalize. They create personalized learning plans for those students. And they provide lots of supports or wraparound services for the students.
Have an awesome day.
Um, Today we have some staff from their special ed department. They're going to share their experiences about low attendance that they've had and the strategies that they've taken to increase that engagement with those students. So I know we have a lot of non-Michigan co-op people on the call today, and so I'm really excited to share with them. You share with them what the experience that you've had to increase engagement. So Laura, go ahead and you can do some introductions and then take over the screen.
Okay, so hello. Am I sharing my screen okay? Can you see it? Okay, perfect. So yes, I'm Laura Bartel. I am the student service coordinator with Link Learning. And with me, I have my colleagues Rhonda Geringer, who is our special education coordinator at Link, and then Julianne Vanderwood, who is a special education teacher at Link. So I'll go over a few slides about what Link Learning is, who we are, and then we'll each have a chance to talk about some of our strategies we've used to help increase our attendance and our engagement in our virtual special education sessions. If I can move my slide. There we go. So first of all, just like Lisa was saying, Link Learning is a Michigan-based online high school. So we serve students ages 14 through 22. They're all working towards their high school diploma, and they're doing that through an asynchronous format. They're working on one class at a time, taking that class virtually through our online platform. And then once they finish that class, they earn that semester credit. They move into their next class. We serve around, it probably does go between 2,000 and 2,500. Around 250 of those students currently are receiving special education services. And our special education teachers work with those students all throughout the state. Primarily, our students are working from home. However, like Lisa was saying, we do have physical centers scattered throughout the state as well. You can see on the map anywhere there's that little eye icon is one of our center locations. So a few up in the UP, that's where I'm at actually, but the vast majority are downstate. Within Link Learning, our team is considered the student service team. So we deliver special education services. Our student service team does also include a 504 component, the evaluations component if students are going through an evaluation for services as well. So it does include myself. I'm the student service team coordinator. Rhonda, as I said, is our special education coordinator. We have an administrative assistant. We have special education teachers, Julianne being one of those here. We have a group of school social workers. We provide speech and language. We have a school psychologist and that 504 coordinator as well as part of that team. Now our team delivers their services through live virtual meetings with their students. So those meetings are just like this through either a Zoom or a Google Hangout, some kind of video platform. And they are either very small group. A lot of times they can end up being individual with students. And then we do have a couple like extracurricular, more social type live interactions with students as well. What's unique about the way that we deliver our special ed services, even within Link Learning, is that we are the only scheduled service within our school. And what I mean by that is our students, to access their regular class that they're earning their credit for, can do that at any time. They can log in at 4 in the morning or midnight or at a normal like 8, 9, 10 in the morning. Their class is always open. They're always going on to do that. Special ed services are much more structured. It's a set day and time that they have to log into this meeting to meet with their special education providers. As you are all probably aware, we are required by law to deliver a student their special education services. So we had to schedule these to make sure they were getting their required services. Um, but also, what we were finding is that, go figure, online high school age students don't always have the best attendance rate when they have a scheduled session that they are trying to get into. And so, what we discovered very quickly as we had these scheduled sessions for students to go into is that we had a bit of a ghost problem. We would go into these sessions ready to provide services to students, and our providers were just constantly getting ghosted. No students were showing up despite giving them all the reminders and encouraging them to come in. Um, we tracked our attendance rate over the first year that we were having these sessions, and it was a pretty rough attendance rate. 14% was our average attendance rate across all of our teachers, which means, of course, they were getting ghosted a lot of the time. Um, but we did implement a few different strategies, a few different structural changes in how we did things. And then over the next year, after implementing those things, we were able to get our average session attendance rate across all the teachers up to 55%, which was a significant change within our team and how things worked. And so I'm going to pass things over to Rhonda to talk a little bit about our kind of the systematic solutions we came up with.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm just going to take a little bit of time to go through our process when we do get a new special education student looking to enroll here at Link Learning. How it works is I am sent student's IEP prior to their actual enrollment, and I take a look at that and I identify the need and on their IEP as well as their accommodations. And I send out an email to we have center directors, which in most schools would be the principal. I send an email out to them outlining the student's eligibility area, whether it be emotional impairment or a learning disability or autism spectrum. And I also then outline the accommodations that were outlined on their IEP and then the type of services that were identified on their IEP that they're eligible for. So some of our students are eligible for multiple services. They might be eligible for social work, speech and language, resource room. We've had a couple of them with deaf and hard of hearing consultative services, as well as a visually impaired coordinator or consultant. I'm sorry, consultant. So I would send that out, letting them know that these are the services they're eligible for. On that email, it also contains a couple of links on there where they would then be required to set up a meeting prior to them completing enrollment, where they meet with either myself or Laura, and we review all of the requirements of meeting with their special education teacher and why it's important for them to meet so that we can monitor progress. So what happens is our services are delivered. We have a calendar that is not a flexible calendar. It's a fixed calendar. Each week it is the exact same schedule. All of our teachers have their sessions are scheduled in 1 hour blocks. On Fridays, we do have some time built into that for other sessions where they can maybe reschedule somebody who missed a meeting with them. They can reschedule that and meet with them, get another opportunity. All of those are in hopes of increasing our attendance rate and engagement with our students. Let's see here. Julianne, I'm going to go ahead and let you take over.
All right. Hello, everybody. So this is my second year at Link Special Education for high school. And it is definitely a unique platform where the students, like Laura was saying, has a lot of freedom and choice and how quick they go through their class. We have, average expectations, but they can move quicker through it. They can work at different times. A lot of them have full-time jobs or have kids themselves. So um, there's quite a variety of students. And what I was finding is I was kind of forgetting a little bit because a lot of them are in mature situations that they're still kids. So part of the thing I started working on this year was having some sort of icebreaker, and the website Ed Tomorrow, they have something called First Five, and every single day of the school year they have five different areas, but I was using their check-in. So there's like an emotional check-in. That's this Taco Bell hot sauce as an example, one of those. And then also just some sort of get to know you question too. And there's another example of one of those. So if I start my session pretty casual, checking in, how you doing? We're not there just to work on math or just work on reading. It's also to get to know them. I found that is helpful. So once they do show to a session, it seems to keep them engaged. And then I also keep notes off to the side of things that we talked, because I may only see them once or twice a week, things we talked about before. If they had an interview at Burger King, I try to, take a look at my notes before their session and ask them how that went. Um, you know, Getting their car fixed, that kind of stuff. That seems to help them say like, oh, okay, so next week she's going to ask me about this, or there's a reason to attend. It's not just a generic academic session. And I also go over their IEPs and goals. I'll show you that in a second. All of them, I go over their IEP. They need to be very aware of why they have an IEP, what their disability or qualification is. I talk to them about their goals, their accommodations, how to advocate for those goals. If their accommodations are not being set in their class, to let me know, or to let their mentor know. So we go over that. And then I usually try in some way, whenever possible, to include their post-secondary goals from their IEP. Either it's in the topic of reading or writing. I've been using AI and ChatGPT and also Diffit, some other websites I'm playing around with, so I can take what I want academically, but change the topic to be a little more relatable. I'll put their names in our vocabulary sentences and in our math problems, and they they know it's going to be a little cheesy, and they seem to kind of like that. And I'm old enough. I don't need to be cool. I'm okay if I'm a little cheesy, and they seem to like that. And also, I've been asking them what they're into lately, and their interests do change. I just had a student last week who was like, "Oh, I'm into sushi lately." So we're going to be reading about sushi next time. But all these things to keep them engaged and keep them connected to me or the other students in the session really seems to make a big difference. And we do let them know if they've weren't in a session that we missed them. All right, you can go to the next one. Yep. This is just an example. I have a Google slide deck made for all my students. It's like a virtual notebook, kind of like a virtual binder. And then I have a screenshot of all their IEP goals in there. And then we'll go every so often, usually once a quarter, we'll go over like, oh, hey, let's go back to your IEP goal. How are you doing on this? What can we do to help you make that goal? And then you can go to the next one, Laura. All right. I also, at the beginning of the year, make a vision board for all my students with them. So it's a virtual bulletin board of things they want to do, some goals they may have in life. And then every so often, we'll also revisit that. A big thing, why our students are in virtual school is because they want to earn that diploma in a non-traditional way. So we're always talking about goals and how to achieve that goal. All right, this is just another way. This is an example of one of my students that's about to graduate. So proud of her. These are all the classes she needed to get to graduation. And every time she finished class, she gets to put a little circle over it. So it's a little bit of a game board, but also a visual so she can see she's about to reach her goal. All right. This is an example. I had a student, he is actually graduated now, but he had the goal in math to relate fractions and things to real world problems, and he wanted to be a welder. So we went and found the welder's exam, how to read tape measure, anything we could do that he could see would apply to his real world life after graduation. We try to do that as much as we can and get him prepared for the real world. All right. And then I also have each of our students has a mentor. That's the person who checks on them and their progress in their class. They're checking their attendance, helping them with anything they're having a difficult time with. And that mentor teacher, I meet with them on a regular basis. And then I also have center meetings. So once a month, we'll get together and talk with all the mentors. And it's a great way to find out some background information. I found out the other week I have a student whose mom is terminally ill. He didn't mention that to me. I didn't know that was going on, but when I had the meeting, they gave me a little more background information. So that's been really helpful, and it's helpful for them too. If they haven't been showing up to my meetings, their mentor will be like, "Oh, next time I talk to them, I'll talk to them about that." And it seems to increase attendance too. And also, I include the mentors in any communication. So we use Google Group Chat a lot when I send reminders about the sessions coming up and links to the sessions, that kind of thing. I always include the mentors. And I do have some that hop on once in a while. They're like, "Oh, I'm just here just to say hello." They use the link that I've shared so they could say hi to their student, and then we start working. Also, overall, I try to be realistic. They are high schoolers. Most of them with a disability that impacts their organization and things like that. So attendance and showing up to things on time is very difficult for them. So I try to be realistic. I send them reminders like the ones on the right there, the morning of their session, just to remind them. And I have a couple where once the session starts, if they haven't showed, I also text them again, just a little reminder. I try to give them grace. If they're telling me afterwards, "Oh, sorry, I missed your meeting, I slept in," I give them grace and see if they want to reschedule later on. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. So, like we said, we do have some students that are chronic ghosters. Despite all of our efforts to try to get them to attend sessions, they still don't attend. So, we came up with a process a couple of years ago called our re-engagement process. So, how that works is we have our attendance sheet where our teachers are expected to take attendance every week. If a student misses 3 sessions in a row, that results in a re-engagement letter. That's the first letter that they receive. What happens is our teacher would then alert our administrative assistant, who would then in turn send a letter home in the mail, a physical copy in snail mail. Sometimes that means a little bit more. Maybe the parent might actually see it. They may not open up an email, they may not check their messages or their text messages. But if it comes home in the mail, that's just another opportunity to alert the parent that their son or daughter has not attended any of their special education sessions for 3 or more weeks. Um, Part of the process before re-engagement happens is we do expect our teachers to reach out to their students using multiple methods of communication. Julianne kind of outlined some ways that she goes about doing that. Sometimes we have to reach out using text messages. We have Google Chat, phoning home, getting a hold of contacting parents. Yeah, also another is collaborating with the team at the center that the student is enrolled in to try to see if they can help reach the student if we're having difficulty getting in contact with the family. So that all should have occurred before that first re-engagement letter would go out. Now, if they are then sent that first letter and they still don't attend 3 sessions in a row, 3 more weeks, that results in re-engagement letter number 2. Now, that again, another physical copy of a letter is sent to the home, alerting the parent that your son or daughter still has not attended. At this point, they then have a little note on there letting them know that they will be placed in our re-engagement session. So, a re-engagement session means that at that point, the teacher is alerted. They have another session set up on Friday. It just happens to be Friday. Every Friday, it's a re-engagement session. The student is then placed in that. I think it right now this year, I believe it's at 1 o'clock on Friday. So the teacher would then alert our administrative assistant, Johnny still hasn't attended. He needs re-engagement letter two. I am then notified by our administrative assistant to place that student in this special session set aside for them at 1 o'clock on Friday in hopes that that will get the attention of the family and student that we kind of really, this is serious. We really expect the student to attend and we need them to begin communicating with us to try to problem solve what is going on. Why are they not attending? Do they need their regular session rescheduled at a different day and time? Do they no longer want to have special education? They want to revoke? Do they want to move to a Section 504 plan? So this opens up that discussion for that to occur. Some other things that we do in hopes of getting or bringing up our attendance is we offer makeup sessions. We have those scheduled on Fridays as well. We have a particular time, I believe that might be noon if I'm not mistaken, on Fridays this year. Our teachers also have some time where they have planning time. If they also want to offer that time as a slot for a student to do a makeup session, that is at their discretion to do so. And again, we track attendance every week. Every quarter, we monitor our progress towards our yearly goal of increasing our attendance. And we are always reevaluating our process and seeing if we can come up with new ways to increase engagement and attendance from our students. Thank you. Laura.
Oh, that brings us here. Okay, so that is kind of our processes in a nutshell. We really work hard to, address the big elephant in the room, or maybe the big giant marshmallow man in the room of non-attendance. We didn't want to sugarcoat our attendance that first year when we got back that first number of 14%. We wanted to really just address it head on. Like, yes, this is a problem. We can't just be okay with this low of an engagement just because we're virtual. We have to do something about it. So I would say every year we're always trying new things and tweaking things and trying to adjust how we approach things to make it better. But these were some of our big ticket items that we wanted to share here that we think made probably the biggest difference within that first year, that first jump. So
How many years are you in with using these systems and strategies?
we started our structured session schedule. Oh goodness.
About
How long ago?
years. We started tracking attendance during the pandemic. We started getting a attendance sheet because it was a real problem not getting students to attend. So we wanted to start monitoring progress, and that really spurred us to get a real robust system in place where we could actually see how many people are actually attending and not attending. And then it's kind of snowballed and morphed into what we have now.
Those that are on the call, do you have questions you'd like to ask them for clarification or ideas? Feel free to unmute yourself.
I wanted to say I love that game board that you use to show students how they're progressing. I was wondering, are you going to share out any of these materials or do we need to make them from scratch?
That's a great, I can share them. Most of them I've kind of tweaked myself from, free stuff I found on Teachers Pay Teachers and other things. So I can't, sell them because I probably stole part of them or borrowed part of them from somebody else. I don't mind sharing, if there's a way Lisa can show me later on how to share those.
Yeah, people should have my email address when they RSVP'd for the webinar, and you got an email that would have come from me. And if you want to shoot me an email just saying that you'd like some resources, I can reach out to Julianne and get those, or at least send Julianne your email address. Or Julianne, you can also put your email address in the chat right now if you'd like.
That's a great idea.
I just had Leslie Bragdon, just a quick question. Do you ever then need to go into truancy if you've tried just about everything and exhausted, or do you do any kind of for the students, special ed students, make sure that how do you determine that it's not in relation to their disability that they're not attending?
So there is a truancy procedure that the centers go through that's separate from like this special ed session attendance process. So if a student is not engaging in their special ed sessions and also not engaging in anything gen ed related, not logging into their class or communicating with those mentors, then the centers have a truancy process. If a student's going through that and they also have an IEP, there's the special ed team is usually like aware of which students are going through truancy. And if it is a matter of, oh, are they not logging in because it's disability related, then the special ed providers can be part of that conversation.
Okay, thanks.
I love how you shared it, through this is it's not just about getting on and working on the academic skills, even though that's important, that it sounded like there's a lot of relationship building and really connecting personally with them. Like Julianne, I like how you shared you write down things that they said that they got an interview or their dog may have passed away or their, whatever it may be, that you write those things down to follow up on them, because that really is something that feels like that belonging that gets the kids wanting to come back and be engaged. And I just really, I like that. And then applying it to the things that they do in life when like you were explaining for the welder, finding those examples, because those are those connections, those passions, or what it is that they want to do in life that really makes kids, and shouldn't, not even just for special ed kids, all kids. If we could do that for all kids, we would have a lot more engagement.
Julianne's been really great, as well as a couple of our teachers, but kind of also connecting with students outside of just the IEP goals and the academics too, but having some of those more like social gatherings. I don't know, Julianne, if you want me to plug in the cat club at all, but
we have our last meeting next week, so I don't know how it morphed to be. I don't know. I've got kids, they have cats that are just with them all the time during our meetings. So we started a virtual cat club. And yeah, if kids are around, I send reminders, but if they're around, they can show up, and our cats have gotten to know each other. And yeah, so, and that's just once a week for a half hour, but it's something that if I have a new student, I'd be like, oh my goodness, you have a cat? You need to meet the other kids that have cats.
Are there other questions for them? I'm really good at the teacher waiting thing. Okay. In the chat, I just put in the Michigan Co-op has a summer conference coming up at the end of July. It's July 31st and August 1st up at Shanty Creek Resort up in Bel Air, Michigan. And so that is the link to the page itself. Laura will be doing a session there. It's a conversational session, not a presentation. So it's really just to talk with other virtual special education and staff, just to kind of brainstorm and talk through different strategies and things like that everyone is. So the more there are, the more robust the conversation becomes. But also on that link there is a link to, on the page, there's a link to all the sessions. So there are other virtual sessions that are available. And if you attend the conference, there's other ones that aren't virtual that are still related to, definitely personalizing learning as a whole. So I just wanted to put that out there for anybody who was interested in going deeper or wanting to do more, just to connect with other virtual or special education virtual instructors and staff. So I'll give you one last chance. Are there any other questions for Laura, Julianne, or Rhonda? Okay. Well, thank you so much for all of you for sharing that information. I think that is very helpful. And this has been recorded, so I will be sharing that out again, and I probably will put it on the public facing part of the Michigan Co-op website so others can see it. So thank you. I hope you all have a good evening.